It is a joy to invite up our Cooper Burgermeister Rabbinical Intern, Alana Krivo-Kaufman, to share some words of Torah with us.
Okay, so I have a question. Who here thinks they are really good at multitasking? Okay. Well, I'm raising my hand because I will admit I think I'm really good at multitasking. I will tell you that on Zoom this week, I cleaned a humidifier, dusted some board books, vacuumed a couch. You get the idea, and you really don't have to tell any of my professors about it. And I also had to ask people to repeat themselves multiple times because, as the many of you who did not raise your hands know, my brain, and maybe yours, has actually a finite amount of focus. So right now we're in a part of the Torah called the Holiness Code, and I'm here tonight with one small offering, which is, what if we see holiness as the capacity to pay attention fully to what is actually important to us? So I will say, while the Holiness Code really mostly involves the priests, I just want to fill you in on something. If you have ever blessed a challah, used one of the signs in CBST's bathrooms to bless your hand washing, or been part of the liberal minions Talitot canopy, you have also joined the priestly lineage enumerated in the Holiness Code. And if you haven't yet, we'll bless a challah at the end. So we're all involved. And so most of the Parsha is God talking to Moses about this holiness, what to tell the priests and the people about what exactly they should be paying attention to. The first things are when and how they come into contact with death, and who are their kin, who is in their inner circle. And honestly, when I started learning this Parsha this week, I found the beginning of it equal parts apt and rude, at least for me personally. As many or some of you know, my uncle died last Friday morning, and I just want to say I've just so appreciated the support of this whole community and the clergy team as I traveled to California for the funeral, and it really is a blessing to work in a place that recognizes the holiness of showing up, both for our own mourning and to support the mourners in our lives. It's not something I take for granted. Thank you. And this week, I really experienced this quality in this sort of realm of exquisite focus, of a capacity to tune into myself and the people who I care about that I don't always find, and to find meaning in even the most annoying of my household chores, and just to tune into a different quality of the air around me, the shimmer of the trees, not in every moment, but more than usual. And maybe some of you know this quality that I'm talking about that comes sometimes when we're in the realm of mourning. Our tradition teaches us that moments of death and birth bring us closer to the veil between ourselves and the divine. So it makes sense to me that this list about holiness begins with death, but then it continues into life, calling us to pay attention also to what portion of our resources we share with those in need, how we treat the stranger in our midst, is it with dignity and equality, and to keep Shabbat and observe the festivals. And our Parsha puts holiness right at the center of all of these obligations, stating declaratively, Kedoshim Yehiyu Leelohehem, they shall be holy to their God. And if you humor me in defining being holy as paying attention, we get Kedoshim Yehiyu, they shall be holy as they shall pay attention. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel describes the dimensions of holiness that we can access by paying attention to Shabbat in this way. One who wants to enter the holiness of the day must first lay down the profanity of clattering commerce, of being yoked to toil. One must go away from the screech of dissonant days, from the nervousness and fury of acquisitiveness, and the betrayal in embezzling one's own life. One must say farewell to manual work and learn to understand that the world already has been created and will survive without the help of man. 6 days a week we wrestle with the world, bringing profit from the earth. On the Sabbath, we especially care for the seed of eternity planted in the soul. We are living in a time when our attention has never been more valuable, more scarce, or more competed over, which makes tuning in to moments that call for our full attention profoundly challenging, and yet, I would argue, deeply necessary. So Martin Buber calls this type of tuning in the I-thou relationship, the recognition of the sacred in another being. And we can't sustain these types of relationships all the time, even with any one person or being, no matter how sacred they are to us, or with all people in our lives or who we come in contact with. But Buber posits that we cannot experience sacredness without tuning in to another being as a thou, as a sacred being. So, if we take all this in, I'm just going to bring you on board with me that this verse means, Lewis, they shall be holy, as they shall pay attention. Kedoshim yehiyu lelohehem. But the whole verse is lelohehem. They shall pay attention to their God. So I want to offer up 2 readings of this final part of the phrase, lelohehem, to their God. We could read this simply as their God, the God of Israel, commonly known as Adonai. Nicknames include Hashem, the name. Or we could read this as an invitation to each of us to pay attention to our own concept of the divine, our own relationship to God, our own words for and connection to the sacred. So as many of you all know, I am about to become a Reconstructionist rabbi, and we are infamously, though not unanimously, into creative and expansive God language, based in the belief that to have meaningful spiritual lives, we should mean the words that we say. So, I'll give you a little example of this. This is the lineage of Kaplan. In my 20s, I was invited in multiple workshops to find my own personal translation of the Shema. So I'm going to share that with you. So Shema, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Very traditional translation. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Alana Krivo-Kaufman translation, circa 2009, 2012. Listen up, O God wrestlers. The source of transformation is our source. The source of transformation is all there ever was, is, or will be. That really got me through my 20s, I will tell you. That's what I needed. And our tradition and our prayer books and our liturgy are rich sources for taking any prayer and making it a personal prayer in that way, translating it so that we can hold on to what it really means to us in one moment. So I want to extend that invitation to you that I received to seek out, to play with, to try out different God language so that you can say what you mean. So, Kedoshim yehiyu lelohehem, they shall pay attention to their personal relationship to the divine. One path of lelohehem. Another path, let's return to the reading, God of Yisrael, and think about our communal relationships to the divine, the one we are all part of together. So during our prayers, the phrase, Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo, blessed are you and blessed is your name, is uttered in a sort of back and forth between the kahal and the person leading, and we've heard it many times in services. This is a practice of adding these words, Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo, blessed are you, blessed is your name, anytime we hear the divine name recited. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is sort of the responsive sacred muttering you might have heard during the beginning or the ending of various prayers. We can talk about it later if you have questions. But these words, they're not in our prayer book. They're not even technically obligated. They are an offering that we offer up because we want to pay extra attention to this moment of blessing the divine name and add even more holiness, even more attention. So one last time, Kedoshim Yehiyu Eloheihem, V'lo Yichalelu Shem Eloheihem. I'm reading this. Tonight, they shall pay attention to their own personal relationship to the divine and together lift up the sacredness of the divine name. My prayer for us, Blessed Holy One, is that my personal practice and each of our personal practice of paying attention, may that strengthen us communally in our capacity for presence and for praise, and may our communal capacity for presence and for praise enable each of us to tune into the sacred. Kedoshim Yehiyu, may we pay attention, may we be holy, Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so that we are each blessed with the capacity to pay attention fully to what is important. Shabbat Shalom.